Hi there everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Joesephyr, and if you have been here before, you may have noticed that I've probably not posted a video in a little while, and I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail here as to why that has been the case, but if you want to check out my Facebook link in the description box below, then I'll give you guys a bit more of a rundown as to what's been happening over the past month and why I haven't been uploading videos recently, and it's been a bit of a battle, as it were, but I'm not going to go into it right now. Now today we have something quite exciting for you guys, and it's something that I was very lucky to be able to do last set, and it's something I'm going to be able to do for Opus 5 as well. And Square Enix has given me the privilege of spoiling an exclusive for you on this very channel for Final Fantasy trading card game. And this time we have this particular card right here, which is Twilight Odin. Now I'm just going to read the text out for you from my iPad here so I don't get it wrong. Twilight Odin is a 4 CP lightning monster card that reads, lightning, until the end of the turn, Twilight Odin also becomes a forward with 7,000 power, and when Twilight Odin deals damage to your opponent, choose a forward your opponent controls and break it. You may only use this ability once per turn. Now the first thing that I noticed with this card is that it's a monster that turns into a forward, which we have had some versions of before in Opus 4, cards like Mulbara, Bomb, things like that. And a lot of these cards have a lot of perks to them that you might not necessarily think about. For example, they dodge a lot of removal that's currently present in Final Fantasy TCG, usually things like blanket removal like Shantotto and Valafor, which is a nice defense to have, but more importantly, it's something that you can play alongside monster cards in order so that you're kind of wiping the board and it not actually affecting you as badly as it does your opponent, because you technically still have forwards on the board. So Twilight Odin could be really useful for that. For example, once you've sort of reset the board using either Valafor, Shantotto or something of that like, you can then have Twilight Odin so that if anything comes out onto the board afterwards, you're then applying pressure with Twilight Odin. Twilight Odin is a really interesting card in that it's a removal piece that's, well, for starters, not named Al Cid, because the problem I have with Lightning when it comes to Final Fantasy trading card game isn't that it's bad, because it's far from it. It's probably one of the strongest colours in the game. It has been since set 2. It's that it's very much stayed the same since set 2. Like Al Cid and all of its partners, your Onion Knights, Rigdias, your Black Waltz 3 nows, things like that, they're always going to be in a Lightning deck, almost always. Like, there's very few reasons not to run those cards. So it is nice to see other cards that could fulfill a similar sort of role. Do I think that Twilight Odin's going to be a replacement for Al Cid? No, probably not. But I do think that there are a lot of uses for it that people might want to think about before they start jumping the gun. Another parallel to Twilight Odin is Angeal Penance. Now Angeal Penance saw a lot of play as like a one-off copy from Opus 3 onwards, and that I can see why. It kind of has that like rush down potential because it has haste and because it can like take your opponent off guard, which is something that Twilight Odin admittedly doesn't do because it doesn't have haste. Your opponent knows it's there and therefore knows how to play around it. However, it does mean like Angeal Penance has to break a damaged forward when it hits somebody, whereas Twilight Odin does not. Now Twilight Odin I think would work very well in a few different decks. So you've got Lightning Fire, where you could use Opus 1 Red Mage to make it so that something can't block, so that you can then swing in for free with Twilight Odin and then break the thing that you said couldn't block, which makes it so that Red Mage becomes a lot scarier than it already is, and that's already a very good card. You could also use it in Lightning Ice, in that you could try and make it so your opponent's cards are dulled very frequently through things like Opus 3 Shiva and things like that, so you can pave the way to start blowing your opponent's cards up, and Lightning Ice is already quite a popular archetype. I also think that, very interestingly, Twilight Odin could help open up a Lightning Earth variant, because I think one of the main draws of Twilight Odin is that your opponent is forced to block him if they can. They have no choice, otherwise they're going to lose the forward anyway. So therefore people should kind of take that into account. Fire can also work with this as well through cards like Selfie, but I think that having Twilight Odin be a bait card is very strong, potentially. For example, you attack with the Twilight Odin, they have to block something bigger preferably, but you could have golems in your hand, you could have, there's all sorts of things that you could have in order to make Twilight Odin stronger, and therefore, like, I mean, Fire and Earth are the two cards that sort of spring to mind with this, but I also think that it could work with things like Lightning and Water, where you could attack with a Beatrix and make their guys weaker. You could, you know, use a summon under Garnet and make your guys stronger. Cyclops is very good for this under the same color as Twilight Odin. So I think that using Twilight Odin as a combat piece could actually be very potentially scary, and because it's a monster, it's a lot harder to remove than most forwards. Like, there are cards that remove monsters specifically, cards like Dragon, Alexander, things like that, that break a monster, but they are less commonly seen than cards that remove forwards. So while you could remove Odin as a forward, you have a smaller window in order to be able to do that. So maybe that's worth bearing in mind if you wanted to include a card like this in your deck. In terms of the card's weaknesses, I think that the fact that it has an activation cost, unlike some of the other, like Ozma, which is a card I previewed previously, is a thing. It is slightly under the curve in terms of power for 4 CP for a 7,000 power guy that has an activation cost. However, I do think that the ability to just break something if it hits your opponent can easily take your opponent off guard, and it forces a block, as I was saying previously. And not only that, but being only 7,000 power, there's a lot more that can remove Twilight Odin during the time in which it's a forward than you would like. Things like Brynhilda can kill off Twilight Odin, whereas if it were 8,000 power, you'd have to use something like Bahamut, Opus 4 Bahamut this is. You know, there's a lot of cards that have a lot easier time dealing with Twilight Odin than you'd probably like. However, again, talking about Lightning and Earth, I think it's a lot easier to keep Twilight Odin alive if you wanted to, than if you were to do it with like any other colour. So you'd have things like Titan. The Newly Spoiled Cockatrice would be a very, very good card here, where you can either make it so one of your opponent's guys can't block, or you can attack with it, bait your opponent into blocking you, and then make it so that Twilight Odin doesn't die. I think the Cockatrice is actually a very, very good card anyway, and I would like to do a spotlight on that, but I know somebody else already has, so I don't want to kind of steal their thunder. So that's it for my exclusive spoiler for Opus 5. Pre-release weekend for Opus 5 is actually this weekend. I'm hoping to try and get to one, but I'm actually working a lot this weekend, so I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get to one or not. And as I said, you know, I apologise that I haven't been uploading videos recently. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm coming back into it now. And as I said, if you want to hear more about that sort of thing, then check me out on Facebook. But leave a little comment down below on how you think you would like to run Twilight Odin, if at all. If you think the card is good, if you think the card is bad, then that's fair enough. I mean, just sound off in the comments. We're here to create discussions, and that's what I'm here to do. But thank you very much for watching, everyone, and hopefully I will see you sooner rather than later. So thanks again, and don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye now.